I'm Dennis Murphy. I'm from Liverpool, and I am an Everton supporter, by the way. And yeah, and homage to my. I know what I was a bit worried about this presentation. So Sir Ken Dodd, the great philanthropist and tax dodger, thought to tell a joke. He said, my girlfriend said to me, "Do you know where the erogenous zones are?" He said, "I don't, but I know you can't park there." Right. You can edit that one out if you wish. Right, I'm a patient, and the reason why I'm here is basically I've had CLL since 2006 and probably earlier. It's quite bizarre how they found out, because I had a pal who was a failed medical student, and we went down to watch the Tour de France, three of us, and he said to me, "You need to get your neck checked out." And because on my neck, I just thought it was getting fatter, but he said, "No, you need to get it checked out." And lo and behold, I went to the hospital, had a lymph node removed, and I was diagnosed with CLL. And from then, we're talking about 2006, so I had conventional chemo, had 2 lots of chemo. I'm just looking at there's things that stick in my mind. I've always tried to be positive. There's no point feeling sorry. I'm not a hero or anything. But I had the operation to take the lymph node. I had a huge bandage on my neck. And I went to a family friend's wedding with my wife and my best pal and his wife. And we ended up going down to the south of France. And I went, has anyone ever been to Biarritz? The waves are huge. I had this big bandage on here. And I thought, I'm going to go in the sea. So I stripped down to my undies and dashed in. And the bandage was ripped off, so it was quite a cathartic experience. And I thought, I'm not going to let it beat me. And it was, it sounds a bit surreal, but that's what actually happened. Came back to the beach, one of these showers, and there was a whole party of old ladies. And I'm getting showered and all that, saying, "Hey girls, look at me, look, I'm like James Bond, you like the figure and everything." Thinking they were all French, and they were all from Bury on a trip to Lourdes. So, I had my first chemo in July, and I went to Croke Park to see the England. I had the chemo on a Tuesday. It's all slightly irrelevant now, because thankfully chemo seems to be dying out as a first level of treatment. But that was my first experience of feeling really poorly. Fine for a few days. Got to Croke Park and but I still went the game, and I always remember that as well. I eventually got more poorly, and I was admitted to hospital, and it coincided with the inauguration of President Obama. And I first went on a trial then of, it was mentioned before, lithiumide. I can never pronounce it properly. And I was on that for 5 years, but I found out I was only on a placebo. And my prof, he was a very eminent, I've got the utmost respect for him. I said to him, "Did your ancestors peddle snakebite remedy in the past?" Because he was convinced I was on this drug. But nevertheless, I was on that, and in this period it was quite sad. My wife had died of cancer, so sorry. I said I wouldn't get upset, but anyway. So I know what it's like to be both sides, and the other message. It's worse for the carer, not for the patient, for the carer. So just bear that in mind. This is why I told a joke, sorry. I think in terms of bad experiences, I've had a series of infections. I've had pneumonia twice. I've had ophthalmic shingles, which wasn't pleasant. And I've got this condition which is even worse, but I'm actually on Botox for that, believe it or not. And I'm actually on another clinical trial. So consequently, I'm on 2 clinical trials, one for the CLL, and it's the new version of the Erutinib. I can never pronounce them. Can someone pronounce it for me? That's the one. That's the one. And I'm not kidding. It was like someone waving a magic wand. I was really poorly, and this was 2 years ago, because I actually got remarried 2 years ago, and I thought I'd married the Black Widow, because I was in hospital, and I was ill, and I thought, my God, is she poisoning me? She after me money? Little did she know that I'd spent all of it. But, you know, I found out at that point that I was on the blind trial, and I went on that new version of the drug. And I'm not kidding you, I've been great ever since. I don't feel ill. I was explaining particularly to the people who are on this weight situation, newly diagnosed, that I don't feel ill. I only ever feel ill when I've got, you know, the cold, the pneumonia or whatever. So my message to you lot is to try and maintain a positive attitude. Yeah, so that's it really. I don't want to bore you too much. Okay, thank you.